The purpose of this manual is to deliver undeniable technical facts regarding professional compressor configuration, free of subjective emotion or amateur guesswork. Amplitude processing is frequently treated as an artistic mystery or a process of trial and error. Here is the fact regarding amplitude processing. Here is the mathematical reality of why it functions the way it does. And here is strictly how professionals handle it in a clinical environment to achieve repeatable, measurable results. We will dissect the exact parameters required to control dynamic range.
We must confront the primary amateur misconception immediately. Most guitarists configure their compressor to lazily smooth out the entire audio signal, applying constant reduction to average out the volume. This effectively removes the life from the performance, resulting in a flat, uninspiring track. Professionals do not use compressors for this destructive purpose. The professional goal is strictly and exclusively to control transients. Anything else is a misuse of the hardware that compromises the integrity of the original source recording.
A transient is a high-energy, short-duration spike that dictates the initial punch and articulation of an instrument, establishing that the true professional objective is to control these precise spikes without destroying the underlying performance. When a guitar string is struck, this initial burst of energy contains the defining characteristic of the note. Failure to control the transient results in clipping, track masking, and a lack of headroom in the final mix bus, while overcompressing it destroys the instrument's clarity and rhythmic definition.
The physics of both approaches are fundamentally opposed. Compressing the entire signal flattens the sustain, lifting the noise floor and resulting in a lifeless track devoid of performance dynamics. Targeting transients mathematically preserves the instrument's dynamic range, which is the vital difference between the quietest and loudest parts of the signal, ensuring peak levels do not overload the mix bus or trigger unwanted downstream distortion. By only addressing the peak energy, the body and tail of the note decay naturally without artificial interference.
Implementing this requires precise calibration of the threshold, which is the amplitude limit where the compressor begins to apply reduction, and the professional threshold range for guitars operates tightly between -20 decibels and -5 decibels. Setting a threshold below -20 decibels risks triggering reduction on the body of the cord, engaging the circuit when it should remain dormant. Conversely, settings above -5 decibels may fail to catch the initial pick attack entirely, rendering the unit useless for its primary protective function.
Consider the everyday analogy of an 8-foot giant walking into a room with a 6-foot ceiling. The giant will inevitably hit his head, forcing him to duck down to pass through. The threshold acts exactly as this 6-foot ceiling, proving that any smaller signals or shorter individuals falling below this designated limit pass through the circuit completely unaffected. The compressor is completely inactive until the ceiling is breached by a transient that exceeds the set boundary. Observation of the standard compression curve reveals how threshold strictly dictates when the compression engages, not how much. On the horizontal axis representing the input level, the divergence from the linear 45-degree path marks the exact mathematical moment the threshold is breached by the transient. Before this specific coordinate, the input and output remain identical at a 1-to-1 ratio. The threshold parameter is the singular gatekeeper of the circuit, functioning as a strict binary trigger based purely on incoming signal amplitude.
Once the threshold is breached, professional transient control requires hard ratios between 4-to-1 and 8-to-1. A low ratio functions as a flexible foam ceiling, yielding too much and allowing excess energy to escape. A high ratio between 4-to-1 and 8-to-1 acts as a rigid concrete ceiling, mandating strict attenuation of the peak. A low ratio allows too much of the transient to pass, defeating the purpose of professional peak control. We require definitive limiting of the spike to maintain mix integrity.
To properly execute this limiting action, the professional protocol requires identifying consistent signal peaks between -15 decibels and -12 decibels prior to making any alterations to the threshold parameter. You cannot set a ceiling if you do not measure how tall the giant is first. This mandates routing the clean signal into a high-resolution meter to observe the exact amplitude of the hardest pick strikes. Only with this empirical data can an accurate threshold be established.
Tell me in the comments, do you set your compressor by ear or by measurement? Professionals utilize oscilloscopes and high-speed digital meters to visually calculate threshold values. Relying on the subjective inaccuracies of human hearing leads to improper calibration, as the ear cannot consistently quantify millisecond duration transient energy. Relying on biological hearing for mathematical calibration is a primary identifier of an amateur workflow.
The auditory system interprets average loudness over time, but is fundamentally incapable of resolving the microscopic amplitude variations that dictate whether a compressor is operating correctly or damaging the audio. By measuring the signal objectively, the engineer accurately dictates the gain reduction, which is the mechanical reduction of volume applied above the threshold, and professionals restrict this strictly to 3 decibels to maintain transparency. Pushing gain reduction beyond 3 decibels on a transient begins to noticeably artifact the signal and audibly pull down the sustain of the trailing note. Confining the reduction to this tight 3 decibel window guarantees the spike is controlled without inducing the pumping effect associated with poor engineering. Studio rack hardware, such as the Apex System 661, provides exact visual feedback on gain reduction via a dedicated LED metering array. This allows the engineer to maintain dynamic range with absolute accuracy, verifying mechanically that only the transients trigger the circuit while the body of the note remains entirely intact and uncompressed. Visual confirmation ensures the hardware is executing the designated mathematical instruction, removing any residual guesswork from the tracking phase.
Secondary parameters are required to finalize transient control. The exact professional starting points mandate a 15 millisecond attack time to allow the initial strike of the guitar pick to register and provide definition, followed by a 50 millisecond release time to quickly reset the circuit to 0 before the start of the next note, preventing the compressor from staying active and choking the performance. If the release is too slow, the subsequent note triggers at a reduced volume, destroying rhythmic consistency.
The final primary function is the knee, which is the parameter dictating how abruptly or smoothly the transition into gain reduction occurs around the threshold, altering the mathematical sharpness of the instrument's attack phase. A hard knee engages instantly, applying the full ratio the exact millisecond the threshold is crossed. While effective for strict limiting, it can sound unnatural. A soft knee gradually introduces the ratio as the signal approaches the threshold limit, rounding off the harsh edges of the mathematical transition. Precise knee timing values fall between 1 to 4 milliseconds. This technical measurement effectively disguises the threshold transition from the human ear, preventing the compression from sounding like an obvious hard-switched mechanical effect. This ensures the transient is controlled without the listener perceiving the hardware's intervention. By operating within this specific 1 to 4 millisecond range, the compressor functions seamlessly in the background, fulfilling its role of dynamic regulation without altering the fundamental character of the source material. Technicians mandate different threshold adjustments based entirely on the signal source. Disparate math is required for clean versus overdriven inputs. Overdriven signals are naturally compressed by the physical limits of the amplifier's tube gain stages, meaning they arrive at the compressor with a significantly reduced dynamic range. Consequently, they require much more precise, targeted attenuation to avoid flatlining the audio. Clean signals, retaining their full dynamic excursion, allow for slightly more aggressive threshold settings without resulting in immediate sonic degradation. Frequency-dependent application of threshold settings is necessary for distorted signals. Professionals specifically target the 100 to 350 Hz zone. This is the exact frequency bandwidth where overdriven guitars inevitably build up dense, muddy energy when multiple layers are tracked. Applying targeted compression here tightens the low-mid response of the entire mix. Leaving this region uncompressed leads to a chaotic accumulation of low-frequency energy that will severely compromise the clarity of the bass guitar and kick drum elements.
Should compression remain mathematically transparent or become an obvious sonic effect?